All right, the time is 7:27. I am going to call to order the meeting of Lansing City Council for June 23rd, 2025. Clerk Jackson, could you do the roll, please?
Certainly. Councilmember Spatafor.
Present.
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson. Council President Koss.
Here.
Councilmember Palavaglu. All are here. We have a quorum. We're on to meditation, Pledge of Allegiance.
Is there anyone that we want to be remembered tonight?
I think you do it together.
Seeing none, can we please rise? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are next to approval of printed council proceedings.
Vice President Carter.
I would like to make a motion to approve both the May 19th, 2025 and June 9th, 2025 minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimously.
Okay, next we are to special ceremonies, and we're going to go a little bit out of order, as Council President says, for the folks who are here with us. So we could take up first Christina Benton, and then be followed by Sharon Gillison, and then last Lolo Robinson. So we'll start with
Christina, if you want to come on up here, and then I have Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening. The Committee of Development and Planning met Wednesday, June 11th. Dr. Christina Benton was there in attendance. Dr. Benton holds a PhD and a master's in urban and regional planning. She's a senior consultant with the Anderson Economic Group. Her background includes extensive work in community and economic development, market and industry analysis, and urban planning. Based on her educational background and professional expertise, she would like to support development and redevelopment efforts in the city of Lansing, including business development, attraction, and retention efforts. She is an East Lansing resident. This position is regional, though. A residency is not, in Lansing is not required. And during our meeting, she said she's more than happy to attend a board constituent contact meeting to share information from the board if appointed. And with that, I'd move the resolution.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Step up to the mic here. Get over here, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and faithfully discharge the duties of Office of Economic Development Corporation, Tax Increment Finance Authority, Lansing Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Board of Director member, according to the best of your ability?
I swear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next would be Sharon Gillison. Oh, 1 second.
I've got Councilman Spatafor.
Yes, tonight we have Sharon Gillison, who is applying to be on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board Advisory Board. The committee met, talked about the experience in recruiting and hiring a diverse workforce for 30 years, negotiating, administering labor agreements for both the union and management sides. So has a lot of experience in some of the background that would be required to be on the DEI Advisory Board. We are happy to recommend the appointment.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations.
The Equity and Inclusion Advisory Board member, according to your best of your ability.
I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lolo would like to come up next.
Vice President Carter.
So Lola Robinson was here with us at Committee of a Whole. You had a lot of extensive background being partnerships with various organizations throughout the Lansing community, one definitely being CATA Transportation. You spoke very openly about being a part of multiple venue functions and events and your passion of seeing LEFA grow in the near future. And you also spoke openly about what you would like to see and how we can grow LEFA and the rest of the board and how it can be more beneficial to the community. And so with that, I make the motion for Lola.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimously. Congratulations.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and you'll faithfully discharge the duties of office of Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority Board of Commissioner member according to your best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we are the Brownfield Plan 86 Novi Properties, their special presentation. So they'll be coming down.
Yep, if you want to come on down to the well.
That's for 820 West Miller Road.
No.
Nope.
He said he's vice president. Isn't he president now, or is it not? It's coming. It's not affected yet. It's coming.
You are good to go.
Excellent. Good evening, council. Thank you for your time. Very pleased to bring this project before you. I have Melissa White and James Denning of Novi Properties. They are the developer. We do have a presentation if it's able to be brought on the screen. If not, I know that copies were provided to both council and then the public in the back. So I'll just really quickly go over the Brownfield program. The Brownfield TIF does, and then I'll let the development team introduce themselves and provide a project overview, and then I can go into the details of the request in the.
Chris, could you pull that mic up just a
Yep.
touch? Thank you so much.
All right. Hopefully that's better.
It is, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just, like I said, give a quick overview of the Brownfield program. Many of you are familiar with it, but if you're not, the Act is 381 of 1996, and so it incentivizes redevelopment of brownfield sites. So this can be, brownfields can be defined in many ways. So it can be contaminated, or a facility, as it's called. It can be blighted, functionally obsolete, tax reverted, or also adjacent to another brownfield site. And so the program utilizes tax increment financing. And we have a graphic on the next page, but utilizes the capture of taxes in the increase from the value of the property once it's redeveloped to help reimburse costs. They're called eligible activities. And so this can include remediation, demolition, it can be public infrastructure improvements, and so on. So like I said, there's a graph here on page 4. You can see when a brownfield plan is created, it's at its current unimproved value, likely contaminated, blighted, vacant buildings, such as the one at 820 West Miller. And then once that investment takes place, the taxable value goes up. And so what the brownfield program does is it maintains those taxes to all the jurisdictions as they are currently, and then a portion of that increase is used to reimburse the developer. And then how our plans are also modeled, there's an amount that helps support administration for the brownfield program, as well as pass through to the other taxing jurisdictions. So there's a bit of a share in the increase. And then once that's complete, the property goes fully back onto the tax rolls. So some of the benefits of the brownfield, again, really want to encourage redevelopment. This site in particular, in a very important location, difficult to improve and to attract investment. And so very happy that James and Melissa have stuck with it for so long. It's been several years, and they are some of the most persistent and persevering people that I know. So it's been great to work with them and see the opportunity here at this site. Some of the other benefits, again, creates tax revenue growth, helps remove some of the public health concerns, removing those threats, hopefully attract additional folks to Lansing, either living here, working here, or shopping and visiting here. Increases the adjacent property values and creates jobs. So at this time, I'll throw it over to Melissa and James to introduce themselves and get a little bit of their background and tell you about the project.
I hope this is working. Okay. So, hi, I'm Melissa White. I am an emerging developer. I was born and raised in the city of Lansing, and I currently reside on the south side where we raise our 2 children. I was actually going to say that I'm also known as relentless, because throughout this process, I have been quite relentless. I spent the last 10 years working with county jails throughout Michigan, doing asset recovery and management. And that job helped save county budgets and county jail jobs by reducing off-site medical bills for their inmates. I have invested in Lansing for nearly a decade. I have flipped several houses that I acquired from the Ingham County property tax auction. And I was also a landlord from 2019 to 2024, during which I accepted MSHDA housing vouchers. And I started to invest in this project alongside my partner in August of 2021.
Good evening. I'm James Denning, born and raised on Lansing South Side. Went to Wainwright Elementary School, Dwight Rich Middle School, and ultimately graduated from Sexton High School, big red family. And I left, went to college, came back where I ended up working in the automotive industry here for about 10 years. As an engineer. I'm gonna tell you about the project overview. If you're not familiar with the location, it's located on the corner of Miller and Washington. Probably most commonly known as the old Augies. The project itself is roughly a $4 million redevelopment and is estimated to create 13 new jobs. Just a little history about the property. It was constructed between 1971 and 1974. A lot of people remember the old 7-Eleven that was there. I get a lot of people that kind of pull through the parking lot while I'm there that remember the old barber shop. And it also functioned as a dry cleaner / laundromat. And Steve's Lounge, which was also where Augie's was at. A lot of people got a lot of good memories there. It's kind of disappointing to see the condition of the building now and what it's become. And our goal is to to revitalize it and bring back something that the community can be proud of.
So that next slide on page 9, actually, those are pictures we took recently so that you guys can see the current condition of the building. When we acquired it in 2021, the windows weren't that boarded up. We have, it's currently an eyesore despite the active attention that we pay to it, but we have actively been involved with this site since we acquired it. We do our best to keep it safe while it sits vacant and blighted. We do have security cameras, and we have boarded up almost the entire building, actually he has, as if a hurricane is coming. We do and have filed a no trespass letter with the police department because we have had, quite a bit of people either loitering or trying to break in the building, so we've done our best to keep it safe. And we have held vacant building insurance on that property since we've acquired it.
So our proposed development for the building, which sits on roughly 4.5 acres and is 12,202 square feet, is a laundromat where the old dry cleaner used to be. There's retail space and restaurant space. They were actively working with Lansing EDC on potential uses for those suites. And where the old barbershop was at, we plan to have an on-site office there, so we can be there and pay attention to the property daily as we engage in our other businesses. And as I said, it sits on 4.5 acres, so there's a lot of potential use for that land. We worked with Element Studios to come up with a creative landscape plan that included a patio space to kind of create an indoor-outdoor type of vibe, along with flower garden / outdoor venue and some walking paths. The landscape is intended to complement the indoor venue that we intend to be used for things like baby showers, networking events, professional trainings, or wedding receptions. So those are our proposed uses. On the next slides are just pictures, renderings of the things I just talked about. And I think that throws it back over to Crit.
All right, thank you. So the request itself is a state and local brownfield plan on the property. We do project this to be a full 30-year brownfield plan. The new taxes that would be generated, that tax increment revenue, we're looking at about $602,000. Of that, about $440,000 would be available for reimbursement of eligible activities. And again, as far as brownfield eligibility, this property has been determined to be functionally obsolete. So it gives you a little bit of information there, as well as the facility. And then on page 15, we have a breakdown of the eligible activities. And so there's EAGLE eligible activities, so environmental type activities, again, mostly your assessment and some remediation costs. And then for non-environmental, we have mostly demolition and asbestos and lead abatement. So further in here, we have contingency in that broken out as well. The LBRA has supported the project through assessments, and so that's highlighted in that column. And then you'll see the interest in that column as well. That will lead us to a few pages here. We're looking to use our revolving fund to support them and provide reimbursement towards the front end to help finance the project. So really quickly, the capture projections on page 16, this just shows the breakdown of that $602,000. So the 440 would be to reimburse the eligible activities. Again, we have pass-through for the debt millages, as well as 10% of the local and state millages, and so that equals about 112,000. And we have our administration and revolving fund portions, it's about 33,000, and then the state revolving fund as well is about 18,000. So that's the breakdown of that 602. Further on, the impact, the city of Lansing taxes, so you can see here, Lansing operating about of the 146,000, about 132 would be to support the plan. And I might have skipped, that we had a breakdown of how we're looking at the financing, but the revolving fund, we've used that on projects previously, and so we're looking to deploy that here again, with James and Melissa being emerging developers and the difficulty in getting that project financed. We thought it was very important to support them in any way that we could, and that would be most impactful for leveraging the value of the brownfield plan through that use. So that would be, I believe it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate you guys being here. It was good to see you guys a couple weeks ago in Development and Planning Committee. One question I have, and I'm not sure if this is for Chris or not, but you know, that's been a blighted property for quite some time. I'm super excited about this development, you guys. Thanks for, you know, putting your blood, sweat, and tears into this. How long has that property been vacant? Like since it's been utilized to its full? You know, like every section of that property?
That I don't know. I think the last operators had to been 8 years ago or so.
I think it was 2018, because it
Okay.
was operating as Binny's. They were
Is-
like a biker bar, but they were serving food out of it.
But like the other side of it, like where the 7-Eleven was at, I'm talking about like the whole complex, you know? up
That I
and running.
don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
we can look
probably
into it.
At
I
least
want to say the
a
laundromat
decade
was
or
like
two?
30 years for sure.
Yeah, the laundromat's been vacant for 30 years.
Okay. All right, that's all. I'm just excited about it and look forward to supporting.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions or comments? Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, I just have a comment. Melissa and James, we appreciate you. And I know that I know you guys are nervous down there, but the excitement level should be way up here for this particular project. I mean, this is a big deal. We know that you've held this since 2021. This is a difficult project to bring across the goal line, in a very difficult area to bring this type of project across the goal line in, right? And we're looking at what you can charge for rents and what prospective tenants can charge for goods and services, the blighted aspect of this, the functionally obsolescent aspect of this, the fact that it's been vacant for so long, the fact that it's tax reverted. This is exactly what the brownfield tool is meant for, in my opinion. And unfortunately, it's not always used for projects like this, right? To help projects that I think are critical for a community such as my community, right? And for a project such as this, right? So I think it's critical. This is probably, in terms of representing Southwest Lansing, I'd say top 3 to 4 properties I hear about. Logan Square, Metro Bowl, this property there, and a few others, but this is right up at the top. It's so critical of a property that I hear about this every neighborhood watch meeting we go to, every association meeting we go to. And I've told folks, because in turn, I go to the LEDC at our bi-monthly meetings, and this is top of the list, right? Every single agenda item, or every single agenda, I should say, is right up there toward the top in terms of items. And the LEDC is always ensuring me that this is still marching along. You guys are always ensuring me this is still marching along. But very, very excited about this. I remember talking to Pat Gillespie, who's actually in the audience after the last DMP meeting, and I was talking to him. I said, man, I love their can-do spirit. I love that they're from Lansing. James is lifelong South Lansing resident, and they want to invest right here in the city of Lansing. And I remember Pat said, man, we just need 50 more of them. And I agree completely. So thank you for doing this. I know this has been a long, long road, but the fact that we are here, I'm incredibly thankful. I certainly appreciate the perseverance and kind of attention to this particular property on the part of the LEDC. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't usually weigh in on these things, but I wanted to thank you both as well. Different reason, everything Adam said, certainly. But I knocked your door 4 years ago,
and talked to you both, and you said, we just bought that property and we really want to do something with it. We're really excited. And I was like, yes. And the number of times that I talk to people who say, I want to do something with a property and it doesn't happen is astronomical. But we followed up with LEDC. We let them know, you talked to them, you did all the right things. I am beyond excited to be here today. And I always say my second favorite day is groundbreakings, and my favorite day is ribbon cuttings. And I'm really excited for yours. You took a risk. You said, we're here in South Lansing, this is our neighborhood, and we want to do something, and we want to put our skin in the game. So I want to thank you, because I have not forgotten that day at that door. And again, we talk about it a lot. So thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
Do we have any further comments? Seeing none, I want to thank both of you for coming down here today and wish you all the luck in the world. I am so grateful that someone has picked up that property. I pass it very frequently. It absolutely is an eyesore, and it's exciting to see your plans moving forward. I'm old enough to remember Augie's and going in there. So I think that there's a lot of potential here, and I'm still serious about that frozen yogurt in the front of it. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we have our next special ceremony. This is Brownfield Plan 88, the Michigan Avenue Rehab Project for 603 through 607 East Michigan Avenue.
All right. I believe we have Pat Gillespie here.
All right, good evening. I'm still Chris Klein. And with me now we have Pat Gillespie from Gillespie Group, as well as Dave Van Haren from Triterra. And so we're here to discuss the properties in the 600 block of East Michigan. So these are currently the City Rescue Mission properties, but as as their operations expand and these buildings become available, they don't have to wait long. Because Pat and his team will be investing in there, and we're excited to see what they have in store. So I'll go and do a quick overview again of Brownfield, but not the traditional Brownfield. What's most exciting about this is actually our first housing TIF request for the city. So this is a change to the statute back in 2023. It was slow going, and there's only been about a dozen or so statewide that have been approved, but there's a lot in the hopper. And so what this does is it utilizes the Brownfield tool to support housing, which we know is much needed here and throughout the state. So it would support attainable housing between 80 and 120 AMI rents, which will provide some additional detail there. But what's helpful in this overview page, it gives you that bracket, it's highlighted, and so we're looking roughly around 52,000 to almost 78,000 for an individual. And to be honest, that's quite a bit. I mean, we look at a lot of city employees, a lot of not just entry level, but a lot of state employees, your school teachers. I mean, a lot of them would fall into that bracket. And so this is what this tool is really meant to be assisting with. And so it broadens eligible activities for the brownfield. So instead of some of the traditional ones that you'd see with environmental and non-environmental activities, housing activities is a part of that, financing gap, as well as a rent gap. Because as we know, costs of construction are extremely high, and rents, especially in our market, are not matching up with it. And so this helps close that gap and makes these projects possible. So I'll let Pat introduce the development here. And so it's Gillespie Group is the developer on the project. An investor included in this is also Leap Thrive, which is a new foundation that was created. And it's helping channel some much-needed state dollars in the project. And so together, the development entity is Michigan Avenue Revitalization. So. Might have to turn it on.
Oh, you gotta hit the green button.
All right, there we go, sorry.
We can hear you now.
Pat Gillespie with the Gillespie Group. Our office is located on Marshall Street in Lansing, Michigan. I want to thank you for taking the time to hear what we're excited to share with you tonight. I want to thank LEDC. Without all their work and Senator Anthony's work, helping raise some money from the state, this project, we would not be at this point. So thank you for all the time, energy, and effort you've put into it to date. We are very excited about this project. We've been in the Stadium District for about 15 years redeveloping, and we call this one of the last pieces that can really help turn the Stadium District to a different level. So we are purchasing 6 contiguous buildings that the City Rescue Mission owns right now. If you know where the old Rum Runners is, we're not buying that. It's the building adjacent to that, and it goes to the tattoo shop, if you know that block well. So the City Rescue Mission, as you've heard from Mark Chris, is moving in the next 45 to 60 days to their new home on Kalamazoo Street, which will render these buildings vacant. These buildings, one of the things we're excited about, these buildings have been off the tax rolls for over 50 years. So they haven't been producing any taxes at all, which for a brownfield plan really helps it make it work really well. It's one of the reasons we're able to do it in a 15-year plan rather than a 30-year plan is because of the increase in taxes right away. We would like to purchase the buildings in August or September. We would like to start in October. What we would like to put there is 15 housing units, most of them on the second floor, and 3 of them on the first floor on the backside, with an entrance off the alleyway, and then 6 individual retail spots along Michigan Avenue. We'd also like to help change the rain gardens along the front there. If you look right now, there's a lot of the black fencing that a lot of bikes get locked up to, and it kind of makes it a tough area to do outdoor dining. If you look at what we did across the street at the Meyer and the Courtyard Marriott, we modified that a little bit. The rain gardens are still there. We just made it a little more pedestrian friendly and easier to clean up, easier to walk, put your hands in there and pick the garbage out of. Right now, that's tough to do. So between the rain garden improvement, we'd like to redo most of the facades on these buildings. A lot of them have been well kept, but modified to serve the City Rescue Mission and not so much retail element. So we'd like to put more glass on there, make them more approachable and more usable. One of the complaints we keep hearing is, boy, why would you ever put more retail on Michigan Avenue? It's a tough sell. That is a correct statement. What we are doing is putting small retail in. 3 of the 6 are going to be between 570 and 700 square foot retail elements. What does that do? That allows someone to start a business for about $1,200 a month. It's not $3,000 or $4,000 a month, which is sometimes a hill that's hard to climb for a new business, but they can start a business, whether it be a restaurant or a retail shop, a yoga studio, yogurt, custard, whatever needs to be done there for an affordable rate. So it's going to be really good for new business startups. So we're very excited about doing it. We're using a local architect, Studio Intrigue. We're going to try to use as much local labor as we can. We've got it out on every website, every person that's out there. We're knocking on doors. We're doing open houses, trying to get contractors excited about this project. This is going to be a labor of love. This is not a high return project, but we really hope it helps everything around it, from the train station to the hotel to all the housing units, just to modify it and make it feel the gateway to the state capitol coming back. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening. Thanks for being here this evening. Just a quick question that I didn't catch last time. I see that the resident parking, there's 7 on-site and 8 off-site. I noticed that there's 7 spaces in the front here. Is that the on-site parking, or?
Great question. This is one of the challenges of this site. There's 7 spots behind the building on the alleyway, and we are going to spread the other spots between the train station and the Meyer, behind Meyer, and behind the Stadium District project. So we're going to spread those out around there. We'd like to use some on-site parking on the city spaces in front of the building, but we're hoping the retail is so busy that they'll never have a chance to get in there and park. So we've made accommodations. It's going to be a little bit of a walk, but it's urban, and our marketing team feels that, done the right way, people will walk across the street.
Councilmember Hussein.
I know that these are, I asked the same question in terms of DMP. I know that these are attainable for folks that are at 80 to 120% of the AMI, but for folks in the audience or maybe even at the dais, what does that mean in terms of price points, like rents per month per unit type? And what are the unit types in terms of the 15 residential units?
Great question. 3 of the units are between 80 and 120%, 3 of the 15. And the rents are going to range anywhere from $950 to about $1,250 to $1,300 a month across the board. Some studios. Studios are the most popular unit in downtown Lansing right now. We do have 1 2-bedroom, and the rest will be between 1-bedroom studios and a 2-bedroom is the mix.
Okay, and I didn't mean to misspeak, but in DMP, what you did say, and you're absolutely correct, it applies to the 3 units. But what you said in DMP is that essentially all 15,
Yeah.
right? will
They
be
all fall in that
attainable.
80, yes, they'll all be in attainable housing,
So I assume
workforce housing. Yes,
the rent prices are similar.
yes.
Okay.
They will be.
Councilmember Spatafor.
No, I just wanted to thank you all for the work you did ahead of time, kind of educating us, at least myself on this project. I'm pretty excited to see it happen, come to fruition. Know that those won't sit empty for very long. And I also, while you're sitting in front of us, congratulate Pat Gillespie, too, on winning the Ernst & Young 2025 Entrepreneur of the Year Award, in part to your commitment to revitalization. And we're very happy to see that you're continuing to do that even on this Michigan Avenue project. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, do we have any further questions or comments? Councilmember Hussein.
I think just to piggyback on that too, and this is something that I said in DMP to Mr. Gillespie. We're I think in a very exciting time for downtown Lansing, really the historic core in general. And we talked a little bit about South Downtown activation. We think of the Ovation, we think of the City Hall, we think of some of the housing units. Talked about some of the development that is forthcoming as you get closer to the Capitol. We've done Losey's projects, Granger's forthcoming project. Talked about the potential for, at some point, a hotel in this location, and then talked about some of the activation we're seeing even, as you go east on Michigan Avenue. And one of the things I said is in 10 years, people are going to forget who, some of those early pioneers were in terms of downtown investment. I certainly hope folks don't forget Pat. And his response to me was, I hope people do forget, right? Because that means we're going to be moving and grooving and really creating something that the region can be proud of. And so I just want to say on the record, before all of that happens, thank you. Because you certainly didn't need to invest the way that you did invest in Lansing, believed in Lansing the way that you believed in us, and we certainly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Without your partnership, this doesn't happen. The brownfield is critical for almost every project we've done, so thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Wish you all the luck on this project, and I will be waiting for yogurt.
We'll get to work.
All right, next we are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Okay, any comments by city council members? Vice President Carter.
Yes, I just want to recognize Churchill Downs picnic from last week. I do see 2 of the representatives here in the audience, but it was a great success for all of the individuals. My favorite part was the balloon fight. I had to dip out from the balloons, but it was a great time, and so I thank the Churchill Downs board and committee for that. And then I also want to recognize the Juneteenth festivals this weekend. Wow. They were everywhere. And so starting with the flag raise and just the Juneteenth parade, the vendors, the food trucks, it was just amazing to see so many people come to Lansing from all different walks and all different communities. So it was a great event, as well as the Our Space 517 Juneteenth event that was this weekend. So I always love to see that our streets are activated, our parks are activated, and our neighborhoods are. So kudos to everyone that contributed to this weekend.
Thank you. I have Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, I also want to congratulate Churchill Downs on a fantastic annual picnic. I mean, that thing just gets bigger and better every year. But I also want to thank a few folks, or I should just say, council, collectively. There was a unexpected need, I think, from a resource perspective, as they got closer to the date. And folks at this dais really flew into action to make sure that need was met financially. So I certainly appreciate everybody at this dais. There's also, later in the agenda, a community funding request My understanding is that it was supported unanimously out of city operations to tie up some loose ends financially for them, particularly as it pertains to parks rental. Want to thank the Operations Committee and also thank this body in advance in terms of your consideration for that particular request. But again, fantastic job, Mr. Jay West, Claire Healy, the entire board. It was, or Claire West, sorry. It was just an incredible time. That being said, I also want to thank folks who wrote letters to the Liquor Control Commission, appeared at the June 17th appeal hearing with regards to the Liquor Control Commission's April 15th decision to deny liquor license transfers to a few locations in Lansing, namely 4700 Pleasant Grove, at least as a Southwest Lansing representative, my engagement pertained to that particular location. In its initial decision, and I just want to speak to this briefly because I was incredibly upset with what happened at this appeals hearing, and also wanted to address a number of inaccuracies that were stated as part of the record, and also were baked into the decision to actually grant the appeal by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. So in any event, they had actually, as part of this meeting, discussed this groundswell of opposition from citizens, from officials, neighbor groups, associations. And when they acknowledged that there was this groundswell of opposition, they actually said that per the statutory framework that's in place, they were required to actually consider that opposition. However, as part of this meeting, even as kind of the outset of this particular appeals hearing on June 17th, one of the commissioners even recognized that they were not used to having, they didn't almost know how to facilitate the meeting because they weren't used to having that many citizens participate. And when I say participate, that means they were on the call. This was like a Zoom call of sorts. That being said, this was a incredibly one-sided hearing where most of the testimony came from the appellant and their legal counsel. And there were some claims made as part of their argument in terms of their appeal that I wanted to address. So the first was that the appellant had no tax issues with the city. As a matter of fact, said that the city council, in terms of their resolution, said that any citizen that actually included that in terms of their opposition, that they were actually lying, and that there was even grounds for litigation. So I wanted to make clear for folks that one, the city council did not lie, did not fabricate, and that the citizens that wrote to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission were accurate in their writing as well. So this particular appellant actually obtained this property back in 2011. They had failed to pay their taxes to the city of Lansing on time dating back to 2011, which means every single year dating back to 2011, we had to turn it over to the county. The county made us whole, and on average, it took them 2 years to collect taxes from this particular appellant. The first time that this appellant actually paid their taxes on time in quotations was actually this year. So in February of this year, they actually paid their 2024 winter and summer taxes 1 week before those were also turned over to the county. And of course, we were in the middle of this process, and that's why those taxes were paid. They also stated that there were no zoning or code enforcement issues with this particular appellant. I can only speak to 4700 Pleasant Grove. On January 6th of 2016, they were cited for abandoned vehicles. There was a Chevy Express White, a black Mercedes, as well as a Chevy Impala. There were enforcement actions on August 12th, 2019 for trash, concrete debris, deteriorated pallets, etc. There was an enforcement action on June 1st, 2022 for grass and weeds. There was an enforcement action on February 28th, 2024 for an abandoned vehicle, specifically a wrecked vehicle that had been dismantled. There was another enforcement action on April 11th of 2024 for trash and debris correction notices. I'm sorry, these were trash and debris correction notices for things such as broken glass, loose trash, debris, trash found in boxes, bags, barrels, and the like. July 9th of 2024, there was another trash and debris notice for garbage, broken glass, bags, boxes, and barrels. On July 29th of 2024, there were several enforcement actions, one for grass and weeds, one for trash, garbage, junk tires, motor vehicle parts, deteriorated pallets, and the like. Another for disabled and abandoned motor vehicles. On March 5th of 2025, just this year, there was a correction notice for the open storing of junk vehicles. There was another notice on May 12th of this year for the same thing. And then there was a final notice on May 30th for the storage of junk and junk vehicles on the property. So that's some 14 enforcement actions that they stated didn't occur. They also claimed there was no saturation of liquor stores in the area, although within 0.7 miles, there are actually 5 active liquor licenses, so within walking distance. They also claimed that the opposition was orchestrated by President Cost and myself. And what they had did was they FOIA'd some of our emails, our text messages, and what they found, particularly as it pertained to my documentation in correspondence, was that I sent out a canned email to a number of associations, watch groups, and citizens after talking to them on the phone and determining what they wanted me to do as their representative with regards to this particular liquor transfer request for 4700 Pleasant Grove and Rio Road. And so instead of tailoring every single letter, what I did was I came up with kind of a canned letter in terms of what because everybody said, look, how do we get out in front of this? How do we oppose this? Who do we write to? So put together again, kind of just a template letter and mass sent it. This was not an orchestration. It was also alleged that we had a personal vendetta against this particular appellant. I made sure that the Liquor Control Commission knew that this appellant does not register on my radar in any modicum of way, but that this particular site does, and that this is an incredibly vulnerable area, as it's next to a school, it's next to a playground, it's next to a park, it's next to the Boys and Girls Club, it's next to low-income housing, it's next to a number of other liquor stores, et cetera. The reason I bring this up is that the statutory framework is flawed. This process is flawed. People ask me consistently, why do we have so many liquor stores in areas such as this? And the answer is because the framework in place is flawed. The other piece is that not one of these liquor control commissioners live in Lansing. The appellant doesn't live in Lansing. Legal counsel didn't live in Lansing, but every single person that was there that opposed this transfer does live in Lansing. Every letter came from somebody that lived in Lansing. And I think that underscores the fact that there's just zero local control when it comes to these things. That being said, I did want folks to know that President Cost, myself, the city attorney's office, as well as the administration, we are looking into our own zoning and trying to determine if there are things that we can do within the statutory framework to look at, as an example, proximity from one liquor store to another, and also looking at what could potentially be done if there's an appetite at the state level, what could potentially be done to the statute to actually get after this problem, because this has been going on for far, far too long. And it makes vulnerable people more vulnerable, and it's unacceptable. So I wanted folks to know where we landed on that. We were not successful. Those are some of the reasons we weren't successful. But there are, I think, really has spurred a number of folks into action. I think we're going to see some good things, hopefully, from this body and the administration, our city attorney's office, in the weeks, months, and years ahead. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Carter.
I also wanted to inform everyone of the Your Voice at Large constituent contact meeting on July 26th from 10 to noon at Rio Depot, 1204 South Washington Avenue, where the topic is public safety updates regarding the development and also any updates from our LFD department, our LPD, and then also LEN, Lansing Empowerment Network. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any further comments? I would just add that this week, on Wednesday, we have at the Fledge, 1300 Eureka, that's June 25th, from 6 to 8, a candidates forum. We also have one the next night for the candidates running for local office, 5:30 at the Allen Neighborhood Center, and that's 1611 East Kalamazoo. It's from 5:30 to 9. So if you're not familiar with the folks that are all running for office, I suggest you go to these events and check them out.
Okay, and a comment from the city clerk. Just want to share that we have over 22,000 ballots that will start hitting mailboxes next Saturday, June 28th. So this is everyone that's on the permanent ballot list and any new one-time requests that have come in so far. There's still plenty of time to get your request in, whether to have the ballot mailed to you just for the city primary or for every election. You can go online at lansingvotes.gov or come to the Rio Elections Office or City Hall, and you can start picking up your ballot. If you do not have your ballot by Tuesday, July 8th, then please call us. That gives it about a week with the holiday, and then call us right away, 483-4131. Don't delay, so that we can track down, spoil that ballot, issue you a new one, to make sure you have plenty of time to get that in. We are checking our drop boxes on a regular basis, so that's one of the easiest ways is to make sure you get your ballot back to us is use our drop boxes. All 14 of them are open, or actually 13 of them open. The fire station 2, due to construction, is been sealed up for this election. With that, we're to community event announcements. Is there anyone in the audience has a minute to speak? Share the details of your event.
Got quite a few events I gotta announce. First, the second week of July and second Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. I think there's going to be a Scott Woods neighborhood meeting. Location is subject to change, whether or not it does happen. Old Everett, our neighborhood meeting is going to be on the third Wednesday of July at 6:30 p.m. at the the Village Lansing, which is 3525 South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Suite G. And on Sunday, August 3rd, that's going to be the date of the Old Everett Neighborhood Picnic. And you're free to bring any board game or food, just so long as it's not alcoholic and so long as it's family friendly. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Couple of upcoming activities on Sunday, July 13th from 1 to 3 in Mount Hope Cemetery will be the final class this year from the Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries to train people how to properly use the right materials and methods to clean gravestones. So if that's anything you're interested in, again, it's Sunday, the 13th of July at 1 o'clock in Mount Hope Cemetery. It's a free program. We provide all the materials. All you need to do is show up and learn. And then secondly, on the following Sunday, on the 20th, from noon to 3 p.m., we're doing the annual Boys Training School marker cleaning in Mount Hope Cemetery. So if you've learned how to do it, or if you're willing to learn how to do it, you can join us that day and help clean the 61 markers in the Boys Training School site at Mount Hope Cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick thank you. So just to Mayor Shore and Council, Churchill Downs, we just had our picnic, so it was a little bit of a scramble getting funds. So you guys all came through. So I'd like to give a special shout out and a special thank you to Councilperson Adam Hussein, Councilperson Jeremy Garza, Vice President Tamara Carter, Councilperson Peter Spatafor, Councilperson Trini Pelavanoglu, President Ryan Cost, and former councilperson Patricia Spitzley. Thank you guys all coming through. I also want to give a huge thank you to Delisa and her team, Robin, and the amazing Parks and Rec team. You have a great staff here at the city, and you guys are wonderful. So thank you for all you do for Churchill. We appreciate all of you. Thanks. Oh, Jeff, thank you for the approval today with your committee. Thank you.
So I do want to second, thank you guys, seriously thank you guys, and I'll be up to speak in just a second. And I just want to give a shout out, we do have Youth Day on August 9th in Churchill Downs, so for the young people come out. Last year I actually raced and dusted everybody off, so this year I plan on racing again. I don't know, Brian, I don't know. So, but I want to say again, thank you guys, thank you Mayor, Peter, Jeff. Thank you guys again for supporting Churchill Downs. Like, you guys don't know like how much it means to the community. It's our one-time event of the year that we get every generation together, and it's just symmetry. We get to let our elderly meet the new babies in the community, so it's great. We actually had Head Start out there signing up people, so it was great, but it wouldn't have happened without the support of the city. So thank you guys for helping us support our community.
Thank you. Any other event announcements? Any more down? Oh. None? Okay. We are to speaker registration for public comment on legislative matter. So you have just a few more moments if you have to fill out the blue sheet. If you'd like to speak on items 8 through 31, which includes the consent agenda, resolution for action, ordinance for introduction, the ordinance for passage. And with that, we're on to the mayor comments.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few quick things. A lot of it was said, so I'm just going to quickly reiterate. Thank you on all the Juneteenth events that went on, everything Councilman Carter said. The parade was awesome, such energy, double the entrance that we've ever had before. And then the event at St. Joe Park was fantastic. We had a big Laugh Q sign that people were taking pictures next to. It was a concerts and incredible food, great booths. Thank you to everyone who was there to help and share information. Same with the Rio Town event, incredible. People braving the heat. Thank you to CATA for the cooling bus, which was really nice to step into. And then thanks to everyone to being at the flag raising. Also, thank you to the Wests for an incredible picnic at Churchill Downs. You all know how to do it right. I was there a lot longer than I thought it would be, and I was late for something, but it was worth it because it was such a great time. So thank you. I also understand we had a pretty successful fiesta at Adado Park. I did not make it, but I talked to some folks that were there, and they were exhausted but loved it. Reminder that our next concert in the park is this Wednesday. I forgot where it is, so I will look quickly. It's at Rudder Park. At Rudder Park this Wednesday. All are welcome, 7 p.m. We have city camps, and I am proud to say that our camps are mostly full, and we have enough staff this year. I know that's been a problem in the past, so our young ones who need some things to do over the summer, we have camps available for our kids. So I want to thank our Parks and Rec staff for everything they're doing with that. And then certainly let's not forget that this Saturday is Pride in Old Town. And we are expecting 20,000 people, up to 22,000, I think is the latest estimate, in Old Town celebrating Pride. So hope we can all show up and be part of that celebration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, with that, we're at the public comments. The public may have up to 3 minutes to speak. Our first is Brian Epling, followed by Dave Weisenberg.
President Cost, members of council, on behalf of Lansing Fire Department retirees and their families that are impacted by the city's misinterpretation, or should I say reinterpretation of our 2013 to 16 bargaining agreement, we would like you to thank you for the support that we hear that there will be a possible resolution brought forward on that behalf. Since learning of the first of the city's intent and their reinterpretation or misinterpretation of our 2013-16 CBA, it's been our intent to continue to work towards an equitable resolve with the city. However, at this point, we've been advised by legal counsel to seek legal representation with the intent of possibly filing an injunction and/or a class action lawsuit against the city. Clearly and without question, it was our hope and our intent that this would be avoided. This measure and having to pursue legal action against the city of Lansing, the place that over 105 retirees called home every day they came to duty. But we are left with no other recourse. But with the resolution that it sounds as you have in front of you, and to the council members that will support this resolution, and on behalf of the affected retirees and their families, we offer you a sincere thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dave Weisenberger, followed by David Ellis.
Good evening, President Cost and council members, Mayor. To be honest, I thought we were going to have you folks discuss that resolution before I made a comment. So I just want to reiterate everything that Brian has just said. These are not just simply names on a piece of paper. These are folks that have invested. A lot of discussion tonight about investing money. These people invested their blood, sweat, and tears. Thought they were going to retire under a certain part of the collective bargaining agreement, and that has now been reinterpreted. Okay? We look forward to hearing the discussion tonight, and I hope that when that resolution comes out, that you will vote, not just with your brains, but also with your heart, and think about where these folks are at now and what they're going to cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is David Ellis, and then Nick Zandy. Oh, Dave Ellis is passing. Nick Zandy.
Thank you. Nick Zandy. So, first off, I will not be speaking on the whole Churchill Downs thing because as neighborhood leader, it is not my place to be talking about whatever they've been getting into recently, whether or not I say that I hope they had a good picnic and hope they can work themselves out. You can look up their controversy, which I will not be stating right here. But having said that, I will be speaking on, let's see, what else was I supposed to be speaking on? Let's see. So, first, support of retired Lansing firefighters. I believe that they should be given proper compensation and proper health care. It is absolutely insulting that we actually have to be bringing this to a debate. This should just be a no-brainer, and I don't know why anyone, even some fiscal conservative, would not support this. This seems like very basic compensation. As it's like something that should just easily always be a thing. I don't know why it's not. As for what was it? Let's see. It's weird how I keep missing things on the agenda. As for, oh man, why do I keep forgetting stuff on the agenda? Am I having a brain fart? Wow, I am not having a good day today. Let's see. Well, oh gosh, noise special permits. Oh no. I guess I'll speak on that, but, and this is being spontaneous, but noise special permits, I don't know what the heck this is even allowing. I'm not going to speak particularly on Lansing Housing Commission specifically, but I would never support noise special permits because, again, that's going to keep way too many people up all night with so much construction. And considering all the stuff I have to deal with the construction going on Green Lawn because of the hospital, yeah, no, I would not be supporting any noise special permit, regardless of how important it is. And if we are going to do that, just utilize the buildings we already do have.
Thank you. That was our last speaker. We are now on to the consent agenda.
Vice President Carter.
Alrighty,
I am going to move the following consent agenda items. The appointment of Hillary Kipp as resident member of the Lansing Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority Board of Directors for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. We have completed the appointment of Christina Benton, appointment of Deanna Brown as an at-large member of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. We have already completed appointment with Sharon Gillison. We have the reappointment of John Rouge as the first ward member of the Planning Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2029. A setting of a public hearing on Brownfield Plan 88, Michigan Avenue Rehabilitation Project, 603 through 607 East Michigan Avenue. The setting of a public hearing on Brownfield Plan number 86, Novi Properties, 820 West Miller Road. We are pulling number 15, the community funding. That has been completed. Budget request for city council budget carry forwards. We've already completed appointment for Lolo Robinson. The Safety Action Plan 19 Local Development Finance Authority Budget Fiscal Year 2025 through 2026. The grant acceptance for Detroit Crime Commission Award for a cold case unit. The grant acceptance for Community Economic Development Association of Michigan Award for Children's Savings Account Innovation Projects. And the grant acceptance from Home Investment Partnership Program American Rescue Plan additional funding.
Okay, we have proper motion. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. As Vice President Carter indicated, to pull item 15 from the consent agenda and move it to action.
Yep. Okay, is there any further comment? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, next we are the resolutions for action, and the first item is community funding for Churchill Downs Neighborhood Association for their summer picnic.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. All of you should have a substitution reason we pulled it from consent, just to modify the request amount from $312.54 to the actual of $362.50 you'll see on section 3. And with that, I move the resolution.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place on the substitute. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay. Next we are the claim appeal, or that being pulled, 23. We're not, is that correct? We're not doing 23 claim appeal for East Side Community? We're still doing that?
Yeah, we still have to vote.
Okay, so that's where we're at, claim appeal.
Because we just moved to substitute.
If I can.
And now we've got
He's talking about 23 versus item 15.
I'm still back on 15 because we
Correct.
moved the substitute.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry,
got the
I jumped
substitute.
at
Right.
my,
Now we've got to do, no, you're good. I think that's the proper order, Mr. City Attorney, correct? Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. All right, so on the motion, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Sorry about that, Brian.
no, I apologize. So now we're on to the claim appeal. Claim 2176, East Side Community Action Center for $674 in red tag fees at 1018 Bench Street.
Councilmember Brown?
Thank you, Councilman Cost. Yes, we would like to pull the applicants. We're not aware that it would be on today's agenda, so pull this until the July 14th meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we are at the noise special permit. Lansing Housing Commission requests to allow for the building of 63-unit apartment building at 220 East Kalamazoo Street.
Councilmember Brown?
Thank you. Yes, this is Lansing Housing Commission request, item 24, for a 63-unit apartment building at 220 East Kalamazoo Street for 1 year period of time. They came to committee today and indicated that it wouldn't be any heavy lifting, just, as needed on Saturdays. There was also no opposition when reaching out to the local neighborhood or during the public hearing. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion on this issue? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Oppose. Passes 7-1.
Okay, next, we're noise special permit for 56-unit apartment building at 510 Cherry Street.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. This is the same applicant, same scenario, no opposition. They have an email to the local neighborhood as well as no response in the public hearing. This is for 510 Cherry Street, 52-unit for Lansing Housing Commission.
Okay, we
Gotta
have a
make a
proper
motion.
motion in place. Is there any further discussion on this issue? Councilmember Jackson.
Just quickly, I don't usually want to support noise permits, but however, this is to create housing, and I guess the faster it gets done, the quicker they can come online, and the quicker it can alleviate the problems that we're facing, at least to what extent that one unit is going to. So that's my rationale.
Appreciate that. And I'm going to continue to vote no on these noise permits. I live off of Michigan Avenue, and it's been 2 years of just beeping on my Saturdays, and past the times and before the times they're supposed to run, these never really work out great. So is there any further discussion? Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. And I typically wouldn't support this either, but they did state that there's not going to be any heavy machinery movement, and there was no opposition from the Cherry Hill neighborhood, so that's the only reason why I'm supporting it.
All right. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I will concur with Council Mingars when they came to the committee. That was the sentiments why I support as well.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Oppose. Passes 7-1.
Next, we're to Lansing Board and Light Return of Equity Agreement, Amendment Number 8.
Vice President Carter.
Yeah, so we had Jake Brower here earlier today in Committee of a Whole, and this is simply a resolution for between the City of Lansing and the Lansing Board of Water and Light. That was an agreement that was entered back in June of 1992 regarding the return of equity payments. And the City of Lansing and Board of Water and Light desire to enter into the 8th Amendment to extend the term of the agreement for one additional year commencing July 1st, 2025 and terminating on June 30th, 2026. Whereas the Board of Water and Light shall make return on equity payments to the city for fiscal year 2026 in the amount of 6% of Board of Water and Light's total budgeted operating revenues, or if actual operating revenues are higher than the budgeted 6% of Board of Water and Light total operating revenues. So that was the gist of this resolution. I make a motion.
Okay, we have proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes 7-1.
All right,
I'm going
next,
to pass the gavel to Vice President Carter.
for this is the tribute in support of retired Lansing firefighter regarding healthcare costs.
President Cost.
First, I'd like to move the substitute.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on. Is that good? Good. Do we have a proper motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right. It is resolved by the Lansing City Council, whereas Lansing City Council extends its heartfelt gratitude to the retired firefighters of Lansing Fire Department for your years of dedicated service to the city of Lansing. Your bravery, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to protecting our community have not gone unnoticed. The legacy you leave behind continues to be felt throughout our neighborhoods every single day. And whereas this resolution is not only a gesture of our appreciation, but also a declaration of our steadfast support as you face burdensome increases in your healthcare costs. We firmly believe that those who spent their careers safeguarding Lansing should, in turn, be protected in retirement. The escalating financial burden you are being asked to bear is unacceptable, and we will not remain silent in the face of the sudden increase. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the Lansing City Council calls on the city administration and the city attorney to act swiftly and collaboratively in finding a fair and lawful solution. We urge all parties involved to proceed with urgency and compassion to ensure that the health and dignity of our firefighter retirees is preserved. Be it further resolved that we stand with you, we thank you, and we will continue to fight for the respect and support you have unquestionably earned. With that, I would move for a roll call vote.
All right, we have a proper motion in place for a roll call vote.
Do we have
Clerk.
discussion?
All right.
Or discussion?
Is there discussion?
Any discussion? We have proper motion in place, but any discussion?
Thank you. So, I mean, it's a roll call vote apparently, and even though it's a gesture of our appreciation, and I appreciate that because this has been such a controversial subject, and I do like most all of these paragraphs in here, and I think I can support it, especially when it's calling for a fair and lawful solution. So there's so many labor people up here that are so pro-union and pro-labor, and that's a Lansing tradition, especially for people who are in office and running for office, that we have these labor negotiations that are between the parties where the unions are represented, the city's represented. They come to meetings and meetings and meetings. They write it, they do drafts over again, they talk about it, and once they come to agreement, it's on paper. And then that paper is brought to the city council, and we go into closed session. And this is one reason I don't like our closed sessions, because we go and we talk about these negotiations and what agreement they came to and why they came to it, and ultimately we take it or leave it. But what happens back there with the labor agreements affects our bottom line for all these years to come, and affects families for just as long. So it's all serious, it's all back there, and we take it or leave it. These labor agreements, when we say it's okay and approve them, we can't even change anything. We can't even give our firefighters or our police officers a raise. If we all wanted to do that right here today, right now, and the mayor wanted to, we couldn't even do it because it's not in the collective bargaining agreement. That has to take place another place. So I think what the city can do is to prepare the documents as fast as possible, where someone who can change the terms, like I think the only elected person would possibly be a judge, can change these terms and find out if there was some non-meeting of the minds where the agreement wasn't actually agreement for some legal way. Because just to say that, the city council or the mayor can unilaterally or bilaterally even change this, I don't think is accurate. So I do appreciate the language, but I also want to highlight this is one reason why people should consider a city manager. We have people putting all the pressure on the mayor, who is relying on his attorneys, who are relying on other attorneys to look at this agreement and figure out what it is. The fact that it was caught or there's a miss or a reclassification, as one party calls it, is going to have to come from the judge. So to put the pressure on the mayor because his administration found it and are adjusting it, I don't think it's fair. And I don't think that this is not a political question. So that's just one reason why I think a city manager would approach it appropriate, because that person won't have to face the political pressures of something that they really can't control. So I like these paragraphs, and I like how it calls for a swift resolution, a lawful solution. And when I think of lawful, I do think of the courts, and I think that the city should prepare all the documents ahead of time and not try to fight what it says, but just let it get to the judge as soon as possible so that people can be taken care of and everything can be settled. So for the roll call, I'll vote yes, but I do think that this gesture of appreciation is that, and it's, I guess, what we can do. We speak through our resolutions, but at the same time, it doesn't have what we can really do to remedy the problem at hand. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Any other discussion? All right, Clerk Jackson, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Koss.
Yes.
Councilmember Palavaglu.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor. Resolutions carry 8-0. We are next to ordinance for introduction. I can read the first one into the record. An ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend Lansing Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1460, Section 1460.49A, to add a requirement that rental dwellings have insurance covering tenant relocation costs prior to the issuance of a certificate of compliance. Order is read by the first time by its title and referred to Committee on Public Safety.
Councilmember Palavaglu.
Colleagues, members of the public, I want to assure you we have the correct packet before us this evening. There was a bit of a snafu in our last meeting, so I will jump into this first document. Please keep in mind that these ordinances complement one another as we go through them, and you may have questions for the upcoming ordinance. I will do my best to answer all of your questions, and obviously rely on committee members who have input as well. So the first, the ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend Lansing Codified Ordinances, Chapter 4. That rental dwellings have insurance covering tenant relocation costs prior to issuance of a certificate of compliance. If you could turn your attention to the second paragraph in bold lettering, it does outline some additional language that has been placed, and it reads that the owner or their agent has provided proof of a valid insurance policy carried by the owner or tenant providing coverage for tenant relocation costs. And this would be so that they could get their certificate of compliance for the rental property. However, it does go on to say if at the time of the application the owner does not have proof of insurance, a certificate of compliance may be issued only with written acknowledgement by the owner of the requirements and obligations of Section 1460.51 of this Code of Ordinances, and that will be the next ordinance that we discuss. I'm happy to answer any questions that council members may have.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you very much. I did have one point that's still confusing me. I've got the correct information in front of me, so I'm reading the right stuff. I believe the city attorney said this a couple weeks back. Do we know if such a coverage for insurance exists? I'm comfortable with the relocation fee. I'm just not comfortable writing into law an insurance policy that doesn't exist.
So we've had feedback that yes, a rider could be added to the insurance policy, and also feedback that some insurance carriers have never heard of such a thing.
Okay.
I will say it's been, I'm willing to say 50-50 as in terms of feedback. We have heard from some property owners through their insurance carrier, how we're labeling it here in these documents, but it would provide them the coverage. And we also recognize that any tenant is eligible to, they may seek to have renter's insurance, as opposed to the property owner carrying this insurance rider. We did learn in committee that some property owners, some landlords require their tenants to have renter's insurance, which is not necessarily the aim of this document, but just additional information to provide context.
Well, I appreciate that very much, because I have not heard that existed, but to hear that it does make some sense. And then there's also the off-ramp of compliance with 1460.51, which would take care of it. But maybe one more to the city attorney or someone, what's the waterfall of this? If we collect it, the tenant has renter's insurance, do we go after the tenant's insurance first, or do we go after the landlord first?
The way it's set up, when you get to 1460.51, is that if they demonstrate that they have insurance to cover this, we don't seek to collect. We let the insurance sort it out.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does, yep.
Because the city's trying to keep out of any kind of dispute over, let an insurance company figure out who caused the actual damage or who caused whatever circumstance causes the property to become uninhabitable. And yeah, so if an insurance policy is going to cover that, they can sort that out.
So if an insurance policy exists, it basically, I won't say void because that's a legal term that you probably won't appreciate, but we won't go back if the insurance company determines there was no, they're not paying the claim, did we then go back and we pay for the fee and then collect from the tenant, landlord?
Correct. No, we would not.
Okay.
If, right, if a policy exists, the claim will get submitted and the policy will either provide that coverage or not provide that coverage. If a policy does not exist, the city will provide because, to some extent, if I'm a renter and I have a policy, renter's insurance, I expect to have that relocation cost covered. I'm going to do what I need to do to get relocated temporarily, and then I can have my fight with my insurance company. If there's no insurance at all, the city is going to step in and then go after the landlord for that.
Well, and renter's insurance covers a lot more than just
Correct.
relocation, right?
Correct.
Yeah. We're not creating a perverse incentive here.
No, renter's insurance is in fact very good.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
I've got Councilman Brown and then Councilman Jackson.
Thank you so much. My question is kind of in line with Councilman Spatterford relating to the insurance. Have we looked at the cost for adding riders, and is that passed down to the tenants, so causing additional cost on their rent? So if there are some that have riders, usually they're expensive. Has that been looked at relating to that portion of the ordinance?
That question did come up in committee, and at this point in time, it's hard to say, we can't guarantee that it wouldn't be passed down to tenants, but we can't say that it would be passed down to tenants. I think it comes down to that property owner, that landlord, and how they're going to look at their business model and potentially pay for this insurance rider. The alternative is that they can sign a written acknowledgement that they understand that they could have this insurance, but if they don't, and down the road there's an issue with their property where tenants need to be relocated, they acknowledge that they did not have this type of insurance, and therefore they will have to go and, find the appropriate space for their tenants to reside. So this is built in as somewhat of a safety measure, I guess I would say, for tenants who otherwise would have no other resources, no other place to go. We're encouraging the property owners to carry some sort of insurance and/or be responsible for ensuring that their residents have a safe space to go to if they must be relocated.
Oh, absolutely. Is this regarded to the tenant relocation? I believe in that as well. Is this in compliance, like for the vulnerable populations who are accepting vouchers and like Mission, all of that? They said that's something.
To my knowledge, there would be no difference in how the tenants are treated, depending on how they happen to pay their rent. I mean, this has nothing to do with how they're paying rent.
Well, I mean, for example, like if they're receiving a voucher, does the group or entity that's distributing the voucher say you can't charge or make the tenants have this type of insurance because we're giving you a voucher from, government support?
Mm-hmm. I think I understand your question. So the tenants don't have to have renter's insurance. That would be up to their landlord if that is part of their lease agreement. Whether or not they are mandated to have renter's insurance, the city certainly would not impose that on the tenants.
What I'm meaning is there, excuse me, if there's a lot of regulations with landlords accepting the voucher, so is that against their regulation where they say, because our reimbursement, for example, a one-bedroom might be the average $1,100 in Lansing, but the voucher might only reimburse $750. So they're saying, well, you're accepting this, so the way that we have our system set up, we're not requiring you to have this additional insurance, or it's against for them to pass that to the tenant as well, that additional cost, if that's not in place. Has that been checked?
Not that I'm aware of. That may be a question for law on whether or not they could link those two items legally, and therefore not, make that rent payment or not honor that voucher, or, a variety of issues, I guess, in that scenario could arise, but that's not something that we had contemplated in committee, so I'd rather rely on our legal expertise.
It's interesting, this isn't exactly a legal, well, I can give you the answer that I can give, and I hear what we're talking about. I will just make the observation that the further you get into, well, what if this kind of relationship exists between this person and that person, it's going to be much harder to predict what may transpire. The way that the ordinance is drafted is to cover basically all scenarios. A landlord could have the insurance through whatever mechanism they've got the insurance. A tenant could have the insurance through whatever mechanism they have the insurance, or no one has insurance and the landlord has to acknowledge that no insurance exists for this. I will say I have never heard of anything through a voucher program that would prohibit or stand against a tenant having any kind of renter's insurance, or a landlord from having the same.
We're talking about the relocation insurance versus the rental insurance.
Well, let's just be clear. When I'm talking about renter's insurance includes relocation costs for a tenant. It's the renter's insurance is what's commonly referred to. That's the insurance that a tenant would hold to cover their possessions inside the rental, because they don't have homeowner's insurance, as well as protection against certain damages to property and relocation in the event that they can't stay in the property any longer. So I'm using renter's insurance as the shorthand for the tenant's to covering tenant's relocation. But I am not aware of any prohibition, legal policy or otherwise, dealing with people receiving rent assistance through voucher or some other HUD or MISTA program standing in the way of there being some insurance policy that would cover this kind of a loss.
Thank you for that explanation, but I think that Councilman Trini, just said that it was different like a rider, not regular rentals insurance, and based on your definition, you're saying you're identifying as rental insurance.
Renter's insurance is what renter's insurance is what the tenant could hold. When she's talking about a rider, that would be a rider on the property insurance, the property owner's insurance. So that would be the landlord, the owner of usually a large multi-unit dwelling is going to have a big insurance policy for property, casualty, all kinds of things. And they might be able to get a rider to cover this specific loss, relocation costs for a tenant whose dwelling is damaged. So, correct. She's talking about that as one possibility. That would be how a owner might have insurance against this loss, relocation. Whereas renter's insurance is the shorthand that I'm using to describe what a tenant might have to insure against this loss.
Correct. So in that scenario that you just provided, is there any restrictions on if you have a large landlord who is accepting vouchers, where is there a rule that they're not able to pass that cost on to the low-income individual, is my question. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. And what I'm saying is I am not aware of any such rule or policy or anything, although I will confess I am not very well steeped in exactly how Section 8 and also other rental assistance programs work through MISTA or through HUD. I know how the city interfaces with those, and I know the general requirements related to that. I can't imagine that there would be a policy that says you can't do that. What I will say is, in terms of somebody carrying that insurance, if the property owner carries the insurance in the form of a rider, and you're asking would they be prohibited from passing that down, all I can answer is they would be, there are certain rent thresholds that they cannot cross. They cannot charge more than X for rent in order to qualify to be a voucher receiving property. So I don't know how they do that math for themselves. And
Yes, but like additional fees and fines, so I've had individuals complain over the years sitting at this dais that, for example, if they receive a voucher and it's $700 and it's paid late, they'll get a late fee from the owner because if the voucher was not paid, so that $50 late fee or $100 can cause them to get evicted because it's not included in the voucher. So if we're incurring additional, if we're saying, hey, you have to have this insurance, they get the insurance, and then they say, well, your rent is $700 for the voucher, but you have to pay $20 a month for this additional insurance, and then if you're late, we're charging a $50 late fee as the owner, and then this could cause additional problems for that population. That's my question. So that's what I wanted to, present or put for food for thought for us at this dais, because they don't consider a late fee or any additional fees if they're able to pass this on to the tenant as the amount for the voucher. So if that's something, then that part of it I would be concerned about as far as the vulnerable populations, which we are trying to catch, or hold accountable the individuals that, have blighted properties and the whole thing's red tagged and everyone needs to be relocated. So that portion of it, I don't know the answer. I just want to put that, forth to this evening.
I think Councilman Brown, first, if I may, right now, folks have no safety net. So if they're in a unsafe house, there's no net to catch them. They fall through the cracks. Secondly, there is an opt-out on this. I want to be very clear that you can say, I understand that this is the policy as a landlord, if you're a good landlord, so there'd be no reason, zero cost increase. You don't have to get a renter's insurance. You don't have to get a rider. You can simply sign the opt-out sheet, which says, hey, if this goes red tagged and it's unsafe to live in, uninhabitable, that you're going to be on the hook for this fee that the city will incur, because the city's going to incur cost. It also allows people that have no social safety net and they say, hey, we'll cut $20 or $50 off your rent if you don't say anything about the sewage that's in your basement, that they can come forward and say, I'm living in a very dangerous situation with my kids. The alternative to this is to do nothing, and prices on rent will continue to increase.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Councilman Cost. I know that the contingency, the point.
You're asking about prices getting raised, correct?
No. I'm saying we have in the point for the second portion of this is the tenant relocation fee. That is the safeguard where if something happens, we're holding the landlords accountable. That's not in question here. I'm saying that's fantastic. I support 100%. What I'm saying is if they do sign up for this insurance rider, they potentially could say, yep, I'm going to sign up because it's cheaper for me if something does happen, that I can pay this insurance and the insurance will pay relocation. But the insurance premium, let's say it's $100 a month for 10 units, they could say, well, these 10 tenants, I'm going to pass that $10 a month. So the tenants are actually paying the premium and they're off the hook. So I'm 100% support of the relocation, but I'm saying, are we aware of this? Because just like when someone has a voucher, the landlord can charge a late fee and it's not included in the voucher and they're not responsible.
I can tell you the big landlords that I've spoken to already have insurance that covers them in this situation. Multi-unit buildings typically have insurance that covers them in this type of situation.
That's then why isn't the insurance providing the relocation now? We're bringing this ordinance for us, and Councilwoman Trini just indicated that it was 50-50 that they've heard of it or not. So everyone does have this relocation insurance? Because this is different than what I'm understanding.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the larger communities, in my conversations with them, with multi-unit buildings, their insurance coverage already covers something like this, because that's the example that you're using. What this is helping is your smaller units, where this insurance may not be, I believe that Councilman Spatafor had asked about the rider portion of it, where that may not be such a common practice with a single-family home or a two-family unit. But again, this has an opt-out. If someone has been a good landlord, for multiple years and has never had an issue, or whoever, it doesn't matter, they can sign the document that they understand that they'll be on the hook, and they don't have to have a rider, they don't have to force the renter's insurance.
If I'm a small landlord, I could say, well, if I get this insurance, if something does happen, then I'm covered and I can have the tenant pay it. That's all I'm saying. So if you have 1 unit, 5 units, or 1,000 units, all I'm saying is that is a possibility. So if someone is doing 1 or 2 Section 8 housing, they can say, I'm going to accept this voucher, I'm going to get the insurance, but I'm going to let you pay as the tenant the premium. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, it's a possibility.
Yes.
Thank you. I have Councilman Jackson.
Thank you. I'll just try to be as quick as I can. So, with no disrespect to anybody, I do think that this ordinance will cause rents to be way too damn high, and that's because the margins for a rental property, and especially small businesses, are very, very thin. And there's really already there's not many incentives to invest in Lansing in the first place in the rental market. One, our inspection and our certificate progress is way long and cumbersome and difficult, but it does happen. The taxes for a rental property is way, way, way more high than a residential homeowner. I think it's like 3 times as ridiculous. And if a tenant doesn't pay their rent, evictions in our district court take months, even to get the court date, to then have months to wait for the court date, to then have more months. So I think there will be, when a business person is doing their stuff, they're gonna say, all right, now I either have to have this insurance, that's this much amount, so in order to make this profitable, I gotta increase rents by this much. Or I'm going to require them to have insurance because I don't want a tree to fall down in the next tornado and the house become uninhabitable, where I'll be on the hook for this relocation because I signed it saying everything was good. I think the landlord would rather relocate them and still collect rent. It sounds like here there's even no provision. Okay, what if a tree falls down the house? You have to relocate them. Wouldn't they still pay rent if they're living in a place? I don't know. And lastly, I mean, there's already a housing shortage, so I think that this ordinance would dissuade good investors from Lansing because they can buy houses and do it anywhere. And there's already problems here, and I think that this would make it one more. That's my thought so far. Thank you.
Any other questions from council
And
members?
this is Councilmember Hussein.
No, I think a lot of good comments, a lot of good questions. I think respective council members certainly need time, I think, to look at this, to consider public input, to maybe speak offline with the city attorney. But I just want to remind folks that all we're looking to do is support the establishment of a public hearing tonight. Which would be, I believe, July 14th, correct?
Exactly, and with that, I
Okay,
would,
perfect.
if you were all set, I would move that we set the public hearing for July 14th at 7 PM.
Proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, next we are to ordinance, the city of Lansing amend ordinance chapter 1460 to renumber to 1460.51 to 1460.52 to add a new section 1460.51 to create a tenant relocation fee to provide the fee only be assessed when the city pays for a tenant relocation resulting from a required vacation from residential premises because of the condition making this premise unsafe to occupy, to provide for a fee waiver when the relocation costs are otherwise covered by insurance, and to provide for calculation, billing, and collection of fee. Ordinance read for the first time by its title, referred to Committee on Public
language lies, to where the owner or party in interest whose name appears on the city's real property tax assessment records for a rental premises shall be responsible for and pay to the city the tenant relocation fee as provided in subsection B, in the event, and I think this part is important, in the event of all the following situations. That the code compliance determines that the tenants or tenants of a rental unit or structure must vacate the rental premises for their health and safety as a result of the rental premises being declared unsafe and uninhabitable. At the time it is vacated, the rental structure is legally inhabited pursuant to Chapter 1460. At the time the tenants vacate the rental structure or unit, the owner, tenant, or landlord does not have valid insurance policy in place that covers a tenant's relocation costs in a sum that is equal to or exceeds the tenant relocation fee and provides proof within 24 hours of the request of the insurance policy and coverage in acceptable form to the manager of code compliance, and the city provides, at the city's initial cost and expense, immediate temporary replacement relocation housing for the tenant or tenants. There's.
Is that a motion to set a public hearing?
There's some more, and with that, I would move to set the public hearing for July 14th.
Perfect. We have a proper motion in place to set a public hearing for July 14th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, now we're to ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend Chapter 1460 to update and correct internal references located in Section 1460.44, subsection A and I, and 1460.50.
All right, council member. Oh,
The ordinance read for the first time and referred to Committee on Public Safety.
sorry, that was an awkward pause.
That was.
All right.
Yep, that's on me.
Councilmember Pelivanoglou.
Thank you, and this is fairly straightforward. We are just updating the internal references located in this section, and with that, I would move to set the public hearing for July 14th at 7 p.m.
Okay, proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, next we are to ordinance for passage, which I need to read into record. Ordinance to City of Lansing to amend Chapter 1060 of the Lansing Codified Ordinance by amending Section 1060.08 to clarify the procedure for nuisance abatements by adding the code official as authorized to abate. Is read by a second time by its title. The ordinance was reported from the Committee on Public Safety and is on order of immediate passage.
Councilmember Pelivanoglou.
All right, with that, I would move the passage of this ordinance that adds the code official as authorized to abate.
Okay. And this is going to be, if there's no further discussion, roll call vote.
Councilmember Carter. Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Koss.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelivanoglou.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor. Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
The ordinance has been approved. Is there immediate effect?
Immediate effect?
Yes, I move for immediate effect.
Okay, proper motion on immediate effect. Any further discussion?
All right, next we are to speaker registration, public comment, city government-related matters. For anyone who'd like to speak, at this point, you have a few seconds here to just fill out the yellow form and to send it, to give it to Jessica if you haven't already done so. And with that, were reports of city officer, boards, and commission, and other city-related matters.
Vice President Carter.
I motion that all items be considered as being read in full and that the proper referrals be made by President Cost.
Proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, we're item city clerk, minutes of boards and commission.
Place on file.
Liquor license for Pandolfil Corporation for a Class C license, Sunday sales, dance entertainment, outdoor service area permit at 3224 East Michigan Avenue, Suite G.
City operations.
We are items from the mayor. We have a brownfield plan, 80 amendment number 1, and setting a public hearing for that brownfield plan.
Development and planning.
We are to community development block grant annual action plan for fiscal year 25 through 26, funding all allocations.
Development and Planning.
We are noise special permit for Hoffman Brothers request to allow conducting work as part of the combined sewer operations, 019 project at 1038 North Large Street, and setting the hearing for such permit.
That's City Operations, and then number 36 is actually Committee of the Whole, I'm sorry.
All right. Human Relation Community Services General Fund Grant Report.
It's going to be Committee of the Whole and place on file.
We have a budget amendment fiscal year 24-25 year-end adjustments.
Committee of the Whole.
Items from President Costs, extended producer responsibility policy for packaging and paper products in Michigan.
Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion.
We are to the tenant relocation fee.
It's going to be Public Safety, place on file.
We have communication petition, communication from Aurelius Christian in support of retired Lansing firefighters regarding healthcare costs.
It's going to be place on file.
And then we have communication from Kirsten Walters in support of retired Lansing firefighters regarding healthcare costs.
Place on file.
We have two notices from Liquor Control Commission. The first one is from Terry Dott for 815 West Edgewood Boulevard, Suite B, regarding transfer ownership of an escrow STD, SDM license with Sunday sales, SDM Sunday sales, SDM mixed spirit drinks from Golden Temple.
City Operations.
And then the other one is for La Malata Private Events at 534 South Martin Luther King. Transfer ownership of an escrow 2025 Class C SDM license with Sunday sales permit, PM outdoor service, dance entertainment permit, and extended hours.
City Operations.
And then we have a claim appeal, claim 2172 from Salam Salad for $550 in trash violation fees at 1909 Jerome Street.
We are going to send that back to OCA.
Okay. We have two remarks by council member.
Do we have any further remarks by council members tonight? Councilmember Hussein.
Sorry, I know there's folks that are sick and want to get home. Two things, though, real quick, I failed to talk about earlier. One, we will not have another council meeting before, I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong, but before the second Saturday in July. I just want to remind folks that come to our constituent contact meetings in Southwest Lansing that we recess over the summer. And in lieu of those constituent contact meetings, we engage in various kind of days of service throughout Southwest Lansing. We are right now nailing down dates, times, and service projects. And emails will be sent to my email group very soon. If you do not get those emails and are interested in the updates and information pertinent to not just Southwest Lansing, but all of Lansing, please feel free to reach out to me at adam.hussein@lansingmi.gov. Again, adam.hussein@lansingmi.gov. And also the earlier discussion on some efforts by respective individuals at this dais and in the administration to get after some of the issues with the Liquor Control Act and maybe some omissions that deal with local control. I also wanted to acknowledge that Vice President Tamira Carter has long demonstrated desire to be involved in those efforts and conversations as well. So as we move forward with correspondence, things of that nature, if we can make sure to include Vice President Tamira Carter, I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Do we have any further comments? Seeing none.
Remarks by the mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Okey dokey.
All right, and then we're public comment on city government-related matters. You have 3 minutes to speak, and first one, I believe they've left already from Churchill Downs. Claire, Weston. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they did leave.
Eric Almquist. Followed by David Ellis.
Mayor and city council members, I appreciate the time you provided for me here. I've always come up here to offer solutions and not to your point about what we're doing wrong. I recently received a notice to get my lawn cut, and it needed to be cut. Now, I wasn't in a position to cut it myself, so I wanted to go out and find someone to do it. And I think a lot of people in Lansing have the same issue. It's really hard to find someone who shows up and does a good job and doesn't charge a ton. If they can't find someone, the city will come out, charge us some money, and the problem is the city doesn't have the capacity to go ahead and do that. So we have a lot of lawns that go uncut, good intentions, but it doesn't happen. So what I did is I found an app solution to do it. It was amazing, game changer. They came out, they cut the lawn the next day, and they charged less than the people who weren't showing up. So it was a really great thing. So I'm curious why we're not using something like that to fill some of the positions we have that need to be filled on a temporary basis. For example, we can't bring in enough people to fill the 15 code enforcers we need to get the job done and get through the backlog. We're never going to be able to grow. We can't grow our housing. We can't grow as a city, and we can't do that $600 million project if we only have one electrical enforcer on duty. This could be a temporary solution, but if it's taking more than 2 weeks to onboard people, they're not going to stick around. They're going to go away. So we need to look for solutions to help bridge the gap until we can find a permanent solution. Otherwise, we're never going to catch up, and we're going to fall behind. Now, you know what it's like to be a city council member, and you think you have to solve everything yourself. You don't. You just have to go ahead and bulldoze things out of the way so great people can do great things. Lansing has a chance here to be a leader in solutions. So this brings me back to the story of getting someone to come out and cut my lawn. And I found this app called Mower. And I looked up a little further and realized that Mower, which is nationwide, was created by two guys here in Lansing who've created this app. So they're doing nationwide solutions, and they're also doing solutions locally. They could help ease the burden of getting lawns cut for the city. It's a very easy process to do, and they can do that. So, which brings me to a bigger point here. We need to stop saying we can't do this stuff. Instead, look at the great solutions that are here from people in Lansing, and I truly believe we can make this a shining beacon on the hill by using the people who are here. And the founder is right back there. That's Doug Salazar. And if you haven't, I hope you guys recognize him as someone who's a hero here in Lansing, solving things nationwide and solving things here, which I really appreciate it. If you have more questions for him later about how to make that work, I'm sure he'll make himself available. Again, solutions, no blame, no finger pointing. Thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next speaker is David Ellis, followed by Loretta Stanaway.
Hi, David Ellis, downtown Lansing resident. I am really sorry for holding all of you here on council for the next 3 minutes, but I think I'm starting a bit of a tradition here for myself of when I come to speak before council while wearing shirts that I have been hit by cars in. So I was hit by a car again on Waverly Road at the intersection of Waverly and Kent while riding on the bike path on the side of the road. So I now have two shirts that I can wear to council where I've been hit by cars in the city of Lansing, the other one being at the intersection of Grand and Michigan Avenue. This is the fourth time I've been hit by a car on a road in the city of Lansing that I have identified as being a potential hotspot due to issues with the road design. I know none of you on council can really do anything about this. This lies solely with the Public Service Department, so I am largely going to be speaking to you directly, Mayor Andy Shore. So, one of the very first meetings I've ever attended for City Council, this was about 3 years now at this point. I referenced it last time I was here. I made the statement that you cannot educate or police your way out of bad road design. The only thing you can do is design a safe road. Meanwhile, with the recent Pleasant Grove road redevelopment, they decided not to make any changes to the bike lanes on that and are deciding to keep with the unprotected, right adjacent to traffic bike lanes that they currently have. Public Service made the statement that they are going to coordinate with the Lansing Police Department to I can't make this up. Right on their website, they're saying what I have been saying for years now, what every developed nation that has actually reduced traffic deaths have figured out. You can't just police your way out of this. You can't have police at every single intersection of every single road in the entire city of Lansing. This is not feasible. I'm sorry for being a little upset after being hit by a car. I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a bit of a math guy. I like numbers. I like things that I can whittle down to like physics equations, things that I can improve empirically. And I have thought that so far up to this point, all of the data that I have provided, all of the models, all of the graphics and educational material I've given before council could sort of support, like if I can mathematically prove the points I'm trying to make here, they can't argue with that. There's nothing you can do with that other than agree with me at that point, but I've been proven wrong that no, I don't know what the issue is here. I don't know what I am doing wrong. What have I failed to do to convince that we need to actually make changes necessary? Should I Do we need to sit down and have a chat? Should I take you out on a bike ride and show you how horrible it is? Do you need to go and get hit by a car yourself so you can see what it feels like to have the stress of every time someone runs you off the road or drives around you blaring their horns or parks in front of you at a red light after swerving hard? Do you need to know? Thank you.
Next is Loretta Stanaway, followed by Nick Sandy.
Okay, election season is upon us, and I have to tell you, I have been very disappointed and frustrated by several things that I have seen lately that are related to council members endorsing mayor candidates endorsing council members, mayors soliciting funds so that they can fund council members' campaigns. In all those cases, I think there is an egregious miscarriage of the tradition of a reputable, fair, transparent, unbiased election. You should not be, any of you, buying one another's votes with endorsements and funding campaigns. It goes against everything that is supposed to happen in a free and open republic, and it goes against, Mayor, what you said you would do in your first election. If memory serves me, you pointedly said a couple of different times that you would not endorse candidates for council because you would have to work with them and it would be inappropriate. I wonder what has changed. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Nick Sandy.
First off, I want to apologize for stumbling right over myself in the previous public comment. I was literally confused about words flying off of the agenda because apparently this heat has been cooking my brain so much that words keep flying out of my mind. So I will be saying what I was meant to say after the whole thing with Churchill Downs, which again, I am not going to be speaking on. But what I will be speaking on is the red tag fees for the East Side Community Action Center. And for that to have even like escalated to that point, my question is like, why haven't we done anything about the red tag crisis sooner by now? It is, again, way out of hand and is literally just making our city nearly unlivable. Like, and also noise special permit, that ain't helping because that's just going to cause a lot of annoying noise, and you should have been helping properties that have been all messed up. And also, you should have been punishing landlords who weren't doing their jobs. Also, speaking of the whole development thing, I am going to be speaking on these, like, liquor licenses that you're considering. Why? Why are you considering more liquor licenses? We don't need any more liquor licenses. I'll tell you how many liquor stores there are on the east side alone, from what I've heard from their neighborhood meetings. 17, soon to be exactly 20. That is honestly messed up and wrong, and especially when they're in close proximity to schools, parks, and lakes, and other natural places, and even amusement parks or something like that. That is, not that we have any, but still, that is absolutely infuriating, and especially bad when they're in close proximity to parks. I literally have a liquor store not too far away from Washington Park, and we are planning on having a picnic in that park, or Stamina Park as it's called now, and it is absolute, and the fact that it is against the rules and city ordinances to even allow any alcohol at neighborhood picnics. But they actually have a free, easy access of circumventing that rule. Like, are you kidding me? That is absolutely infuriating. And who's going to get punished for alcohol somehow appearing at our neighborhood picnics? Us, in the neighborhood. Even though it's clearly the city that should have been punished for, as well as those liquor stores, for being in close proximity to those parks. We do not need to consider any more liquor licenses. Those should really, maybe they should go to a vote, but they should be quickly voted down. I'm not saying anything personal against them, but they should not be near any parks.
And then we'll call down Jody Washington. It looks like her paperwork got lost.
I swear I did fill it out. So I went to the gym and worked out for 20 minutes. So although I'm feeling really fit, I'm tired. So bear with me. I have just a couple things. I'm prepping my house to sell it. I will be taking the next year to prep my house to sell it. And I'm really considering the Genelosi project, Tower on the Grand, or a condo in the burbs. Having said that, I want to be assured that we have the firefighter equipment to deal with a building of that size if I'm going to be living in it. And I hope as you all consider the budgets that you consider that. It will make a huge difference in my decision. And also I'm going to wait, since it won't be finished for a couple of years, to see what the fabric of downtown Lansing really is in the next couple of years. Is there a reason to live downtown? Right now, there's not. We'll see how the homeless situation goes. And there will be a lot of things for me to make the decision, but the number one thing is the first responder ability. So make sure it's in your budget that we have the proper equipment to get people evacuated and to put out fires. My second thing is, it is election season, and I am thoroughly disgusted with what I'm seeing. No sitting council member should ever endorse a mayoral candidate. It's flattering to be asked, but it's not wise. No mayor should be endorsing council candidates. This is the Bernero years. I'm reliving it. It's like deja vu. Don't stack the council. The council is supposed to represent us, not you. And the fact that I've watched so much pandering in the last few weeks is saddened. I'm saddened. I will not support you, Andy. I will not support you, Jeff Brown. I will not support any of the mayoral candidates. I will write in my choice. I will not vote for or support anybody endorsed by the chamber. I just can't, in good conscience at this time, support anyone endorsed by them. I'm tired of our elected seats being bought by special interests, and I have been saying that, and I will stick by it. So, you know, I know the money's good, and I know they spend a lot on you, but it's not right. We don't get proper representation. We get representation that is really not qualified, really doesn't represent the people, and it's high time we start cleaning up our local elections. Just quickly, we used to have 20 to 25,000 more people living here. Where the hell did they live if we have such a housing crisis?
That concludes public comment.
Okay, we are adjourned at 9:34.